who have we got here? Yes, it's Norman. And he's just had his service and he's back in fine fettle. And we're on a trail. Awesome. Let's go. Well, this is flipping excellent. So, yeah, what was the story with Norman then? Well, bizarrely, on the Tuesday of last week, when I took him in for his service, went out in the garage, fired him up, and the engine light didn't come on. It was gone. So I thought, oh, that's a bit of a bummer. Hopefully there'll still be an error code so that they can find out what was actually the problem. So anyway, yeah, of course he got me over to Almeria, no trouble at all, as I would have expected him to. And so he got his service. And when the bike was finished and I went to collect it, they told me that the error code was actually sort of kind of what we thought it might be. Basically it was this is pretty rough up here actually, not good. Yeah, basically the error code was the battery wasn't supplying enough power to fire up the fuel injector, apparently. So they kind of said, it's starting alright now, and we've checked the battery seems okay. You know, if it crops up again, we might have to go through the fuel injection system, see if there's anything there that's causing an issue. But anyway, I know that the ECU warning does come on when, for instance, the battery doesn't supply the amps needed to crank the engine sufficiently to fire it up. That also triggers an engine warning light. And considering that this original fitted Royal Enfield battery from the factory is now 2.5 years old, and in my experience the Royal Enfield batteries don't last very well. So when I paid for the service, I said, have you got a battery for it? And they did have one in stock, so I said, yeah, give me the battery as well. So I took the battery home with me and I just fitted that yesterday, because I'm pretty sure that engine warning only happened because the battery is starting to struggle. Sometimes it's delivering the amps, the instant power, and sometimes it isn't. And yeah, for me that's a sure sign that at some point it's going to fail completely. So yeah, we've got a new battery on Norman now, and I'm just noticing actually they've put too much air in the tyres, because the bike's moving around a lot more than it should be. But they tend to do that. Oh yeah. Well, we'll persevere with it. I think we should be alright. So yeah, changing the battery wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'd heard a few horror stories from some of you with 411 Himalayans at scrams. The only real problem with it was the bottom left-hand corner of the battery doesn't clear the frame rail, because the frame rail goes up at a 45-degree angle. So when you try and pull the battery out, the frame's in the way. And there's no wiggle room. I mean, you can't do anything. You can't move the battery across a little bit further and then clear the frame. You really can't clear the frame. So the only way to get the battery out is to apply a little bit of violence and not worry too much about the paintwork on the frame, and just try and get that corner lifted up onto that part of the frame. And then once you've got that corner clear of the frame, with a hefty heave, again, with a fair degree of violence involved, you can pull the battery out. And for some reason going in seemed to be easier, probably because the battery just drops down over that rather than having to lift it up over. So that was the only thing. Because I'd heard horror stories about changing the Himalayan battery, When I was in Almeria, I did ask the mechanic there. I said, I hear it's a bit of a pain, and he sort of shrugged his shoulders. He said, it's not too bad. He said, so I said, have you got any tips for me? And he said, and it was a good tip as well. He said, just make sure you put the non-captive nut and the bolt into the new battery before you fit the battery to the bike, because once it's in its position, there's absolutely zero room for faffing about with non-captive nuts. You can't actually you can't really get at them. I mean, there's a frame rail in the way the battery sits in its little box. So yeah, that was definitely a tip. That saved a little bit of faffing about. And like I said, apart from that, the only hassle was getting the old battery out, getting it to clear the frame. And I've got to say, the only thing that helps there is just lots of heaving and lots of wiggling, and not being shy with the application of moderate violence. Yeah, I shall have to let some air out of these tyres next time I take him up a trail, I think. But yeah, anyway, Norman's got a clean bill of health. It's all good. He's just had a service. And even though it was a 6-month service, they did an oil and filter change. And yeah, yesterday he got his new battery. And for the service with an oil change and the battery, I paid a grand total of 141 euros. So I thought that was extremely reasonable, considering that the battery's probably 60-70 euros of that. So yeah, he's ready to go now. No warning lights, new battery, and we're allowed to ride on the trails again. Awesome. Oh, it's a bit of a big rock there. Yeah, while I was in Almeria, getting Norman serviced, I also queried the pannier rails for Buddy's new panniers, because it's probably been 6 months since Motos Mattia ordered them, and they were out of stock at the time. And yeah, they said, yeah, I know it's a bit of a problem at the moment with stock, but we'll chase it up for you. Anyway, a couple of days later I got an email from them, and they said that they've been assured by the importer, the main distributor, that they're going to get the pannier rails by the end of the year. So at some time, probably in January, Buddy will get his new panniers. So that'll be like a late Christmas present for little Buddy. So that's awesome. What was also really interesting while I was there, for the first time ever, Motos Mattia, they didn't have a single 350. Now normally they'll have a couple of Hunters, a Meteor or two, and a Bullet, at least one Bullet. And I went in there and they didn't have any. They just had 3 650s in there. And I said, what's going on with the 350s? Why haven't you got any 350s? They said, you can't get them. They haven't got any. They're not getting any until next year, apparently. So, yeah, people here in Spain who are looking to buy one of the 350s are currently out of luck. They're going to have to wait until the new year, when apparently another container is due in. It's lovely up here. Such a cool day again. It's lovely. It's well, Attila's saying 22, so you can knock 5 off that, because that always reads too high. So it's probably 17 degrees. It's absolutely lovely. And apparently we're going to have a little bit of a heat wave this week. We're going to have a few days where it's just creeping over 20 degrees Celsius, so that should be awesome. Unfortunately, I'll probably be working, but maybe I can sneak out a couple of times, make the most of the weather, because I'm sure it's going to turn grim again soon enough. So yeah, it's a bit of a surprise to find out that you can't currently buy a new Royal Enfield 350 in Spain. Yeah, and talking of 350s, judging by the comments on my last video, a few of you have had a similar experience with the Goan Classic 350. Namely that your initial impression was no, what were they thinking, God no, and then sort of over time having it grow on you and, you know, gathering appreciation for it and finally finding yourself actually wanting one. So yeah, I'm glad it's not just me. I just think, yeah, it's something very different, and I appreciate the effort that went into making it sort of authentic as possible, and you know that they went the extra mile. It wasn't an easy like just put a new dress on a Classic or a Meteor and call it a Goan. No, they actually kind of went all in and did some unique engineering for that model. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan, and yeah, I keep changing my mind really about yes or no, yes or no. Yeah, at the moment I'm just going to see what happens, see if the stars align. I could still end up with one. I'm a little bit worried, but as much as I like the idea of the Bullet 650, and I think it could be a real lovely keeper of a bike, just because it's probably going to deliver a really lovely, relaxing ride. It's just so heavy, and all of my garages are serviced by dirt and rocky tracks, like worse than this, and on steep inclines as well for the access. So I'm a little bit worried if I buy a bike that's too heavy that I'm going to start dropping it every time I get it out of the garage or try to put it away. It took me a long time to be confident with Norman here, because he's pretty hefty, especially with his aluminium panniers on. They weigh a fair bit. I have to be on high alert when I'm taking Norman in and out of the garage. If you do it when you're tired or you're not really, you haven't got your head clear, it would be very easy to drop him. So yeah, I'd certainly hate to drop the gorgeous looking Bullet 650 if I had one, that's for sure. So yeah, maybe that would be an argument against the 650, and that might be the thing that pushes me more towards the Goan. But I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Well, I recognise all of this, so we're definitely still heading the right way. Now, it's just lovely up here, because you're like almost guaranteed to be completely on your own. And it's just lovely, quiet and unspoiled. And then you've just got the merry thrum of Norman conveying you through the mountains. Fantastic. So as you can see, my AOG C6 Pro is still going strong. Not had a single problem with it so far. Now I'm thinking of taking a slightly different route today than the one that I was planning to do originally, because normally if I follow this trail a little bit further, in a moment we'll have to turn right, which will take us towards Alto de Velafig, and that's the section that I know. But I did have a look on the map today. If instead of turning right, we carry straight on, this trail actually comes to an end in a village called Sanés. and from there you're on the main road, and it's quite an easy ride for me to get back home. So I'm thinking, in the interest of variety, maybe don't go to Alto de Benefit today, but follow this trail to its conclusion in Senez, because that way you'll get to see something different, and also if it's enjoyable, if it's not terrible, that would enable me to get onto these trails from the Senez end. So that gives me more options to kind of join up sections of trail up here, depending on, you know, which direction I'm coming from, where I want to end up. So yeah, I think we'll try and do that today. Since this is actually quite a major access track, this one, I imagine it's going to be easy enough. I don't think it's going to be in a terrible condition at all. It'll just be like this, I would imagine. So I don't think it's going to be a risky voyage into the unknown. That's where we have to go, to Alto de Benefit. So now we're already in uncharted territory, or uncharted for us anyway. Yeah, these shadows make it pretty hard to spot the ruts or the big holes, the big dips. It's not ideal. There's one there. Ooh, yeah, didn't avoid it in time. Oh, that's more like it. Oh, this is quite pretty. So this is kind of like the other side of the mountain. Because normally we'd be heading over there somewhere towards the road that side. So yeah, this is all different. It just occurred to me that when I set off, I forgot to start the Readlive app. I was going to plot this on Readlive for you so you can see where we were, but I forgot to do it. So you just have to take my word for it. We're riding from Perchena to Senez via this trail. Oh, up into third gear. Steady on, Norman. Yeah, because this bit's like an autobahn. It's like an autobahn until suddenly it isn't, and it's like a massive pothole. So yeah, maybe don't go too quick. Oh, yeah, no, there's a nice little rut. Well, this is lovely, jubbly. Yeah, so anyway, we hope you've had a good week since the last video. Thank you to everybody who watched that one. Thank you for your comments, as always. Yeah, I actually had a fairly decent week last week. Work wasn't too crazy. I managed to get a few things done, like getting Norman sorted out. I've got another trip to Almeria right at the beginning of the new year, because that will be Attila the Gorilla. It will be his first 12-month service due. That'll be a service with a valve check, obviously. So that'll be a 2-day job. I'll take the bike over them even before, and then I could start work with a cold engine the following morning. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the 2nd of January, because what happened last year is I think I got Attila around about the 12th of December, and you have to do the 500 kilometers for the first oil change, you know, the initial running kind of service. And I did the 500 kilometers before Christmas. And then I was sat there and I couldn't ride my new bike because I'd done the kilometers, and obviously Motors Material was shut for Christmas. So I'm pretty sure that before Christmas I made the appointment the first day that they would be open after New Year, so 2nd of January I think is going to be the stamp I have in the book. So yeah, certainly I shall check that and get that service booked before Christmas if that is indeed the case. So probably on the 2nd of January I should be off to Almeria again, and then hopefully shortly after that I should be heading over there on Buddy to get his swanky new panniers fitted. Yeah, well, so far this trail has been absolutely lovely. Had quite a few lateral ruts to begin with, but now it's quite peachy. Yeah, I can tell that the tyres are too hard because every time you hit a sort of larger size stone, it kicks the front wheel away in quite an aggressive manner. So yeah, I think the front tyre's pretty goddamn hard. It wasn't feeling great on the road, to be honest, coming over. I thought, lack of grip. But, yeah, I'm guessing they've put too much air in it, which is quite a common thing, right? So we've got to just follow this around, I guess. Other trail isn't marked, so I'm guessing that's just private access. Can't see it on the map, so. This is a really good reintroduction to riding off-road, I've got to say, because it's, especially with the tyres being a bit too hard at the moment, the bike is moving about quite a bit, and I always find when I come back to off-road riding after, you know, half a year off, it's always a bit buttock clenching the first couple of times you go out and notice that the bike's moving around everywhere. And then it just takes a little while just for your brain to realise that that's perfectly okay and there's nothing to worry about. Yeah, and I think we've achieved that already today. I mean, I've got used to the bike moving about under me, so I think we're ready for the more tricky trails. God, this is a bit rough. Next time we go out, I think we can tackle one of our old favourites, and then I should get the map out and start looking for new trails, I think. Make the most of it while I can. Weather permitting, of course. It's not always going to be like this. In fact, this is rather unusual. So, making the most of it, definitely today. I mean, it was quite lucky actually that of all the weekends for Norman to strike that he chose last weekend, because last weekend I was a bit annoyed because I thought, oh, that's really stupid because it's a lovely day. Next Sunday won't be anything like as nice, you know. But as it turned out, we got 2 consecutive nice weekends. So it was really cold during the week. I mean, it wasn't nice during the week at all, but for some reason it's just warmed up again just in time for the weekend. So Norman, yeah, like I say, chose the right weekend really to force me to change my plans. Yeah, when I ride a new section of trail that actually, you know, ends somewhere, I'm always interested to see where exactly it ends, so that, you know, if you wanted to ride it from the opposite direction, you'd need to know where it starts. So Yeah, I mean, this apparently comes out into Nares, which is somewhere I've been multiple times. But I can't say I saw a trail entrance, but yeah. So I'll be intrigued to find out where that is. Oh, yeah, it's lovely to be out on Norman on a trail again. It always makes me feel like a less attractive, significantly more grumpy, less mealtime obsessed version of Itchy Boots, you know, really. I mean, it's awesome. I've no idea how much further this trail goes for. It looks like it's quite a long way. ER from the future here. Actually, it took me 55 minutes to ride this trail from beginning to end. So you're seeing about half of it in this video. Can't see any villages at the moment anyway, so could be a long one. Well, so far we haven't encountered a single person, have we, all this time, so it's certainly quiet up here. Yeah, you certainly get your money's worth with this trail. This is definitely one for long rides. Blooming marvellous. Well, we're descending, so presumably there's going to be a village at the bottom of all this. Either that, of course, or we have to go over another mountain before we get there. That could also happen. I don't actually know if that trail up ahead is part of this one. Might be. Because that goes up over those mountains in front of us. It's quite a steep old climb. Oh, there's a big step there. No, our trail goes round to the right, doesn't it? There's no way we're going up that dirt road. I can't see that being part of the trail. Just follow this one round, yeah. This one goes quite a way over there by the look of it. Hey, we're onto the road. Awesome. Yeah, that dirt road looked quite interesting, didn't it? It was a bit of a steep old trail, that one. Wonderful. This looks like quite a windy road, actually. Looks like we've got quite a way to go until we get to the main road. So I'll keep the camera going. Well, that's quite a nice view with the clouds and the mountains. Lovely. Ah, yes. I remember that road. That's Sinnes over there. Yeah. I just have to remember now where this road comes out so that I can ride that trail in the opposite direction sometime. And here it is. There's actually a sign. That's handy. I wonder what the sign says. Yeah, I guess that's showing you that you can get to Cala Alto and Bucharest via the trails. Yeah, awesome. Right, so we have to turn left here to head home. So I hope you enjoyed that one. That was an awesome ride. Really enjoyed it myself. And yeah, have a great week until the next one. And hope to see you there. Do the old like and subscribe. Hype if you can. Apparently that all helps if you'd like to. That would be dandy. And yeah, we'll see you next week. So I'm off home now to get Ruby a sausage. Good job, Norman. Good job. Bye-bye. So, Ruby, what do you reckon? Norman's looking pretty dusty after that ride. Yeah, well dusty. Anyway, you looked after the house for Daddy, so of course it's time for sausages. And this week's sausages are still from Scott, Wolfie and Lucky, your Pasadena pals. Thank you, Scott, Wolfie and Lucky. Oh, thanks, Scott, Wolfie, Lucky sausage. Oh, sausages. Oh, cracking. Oh yeah, well, great sausage. Quality.